Do you feel like you need better boundaries? In this video, I want to share an alternate lens that makes boundary setting easier. Boundary setting is a common solution for creating healthy relationships. And I agree, a clear sense of where I start and stop and where you start is important for connected relationships. But let me ask you this. When you think about setting boundaries, does it feel hard? Usually when this topic comes up, it's because it is in a place where you're aware that you've not had your own back in a situation. And that means that you're probably feeling irritable, angry, frustrated, or maybe ashamed. You've said yes when you really wanted to say no, or no when you really wanted to say yes. You've shape-shifted somehow in a way to do or be something that someone else wants. In essence, you've left yourself behind, abandoned your own needs and desires. So perhaps you recognize that there's a need for some boundaries. Or perhaps a therapist or coach has, encouraged or advised that you set better boundaries. Here's what I want to talk about is how these boundaries come about to be, because it's in this place that there's a difference. Boundaries can be set in reaction to a perceived breach. Someone has invaded your space, or you've allowed them to invade your space, so to speak. This is a pretty common way that we see and are taught about boundaries. But I want you to notice the language here. It's reactionary. It feels gritty and hard. I'm going to set some boundaries. I need to set some boundaries. You feel like you're defending yourself. And if you're defending yourself, it means there is an opposing offense. Do you notice this? That when we think about setting boundaries, there's some sort of conflict in this relationship. And you're putting up a boundary to keep someone out. How thick, how wide, how tall? So there's language here and an energy here about that doesn't feel good, which makes it why boundary setting can feel so hard. Notice that there's energy and focus and intention that is actually required to create a boundary. And then you've got to maintain it. So not only do you put it up, but often it sort of slides back down. And the next time something, and then you go, I got to put up my boundary, right? Let me propose another way. A way that does not require the energy and focus and maintenance that boundaries do. Here's my thought. Here's my experience. Here's what I know. Boundaries can arise as a result of me being clear about what's a yes and a no for me, and me being willing to claim that as my truth. When I'm living true to myself, when I'm saying yes to all of me, yes to what's a yes, no to what's a no, I don't know, I'm going to try it out, I take full ownership of it all because it's my truth. And it just feels kind of solid, like truth does, right? It just feels kind of solid. And it feels solid, but there's also a softness about it. There's no conflict in this. When I say, actually, that's not for me, there's nothing that in that reflects on you. There's nothing in that is like, I gotta keep you out. It's just actually, this is what's true for me. Do you feel the difference in the energy? So when I choose me, I choose to live my truth, live true to myself. These boundaries actually arise in the form of truth. And as I said, truth just feels solid. There's no blaming anybody. It's not intended to keep anybody out or in. This is just my truth. And that means that I take full responsibility for when we engage together to be like, yeah, that's a yes for me. And I take responsibility for my yes. I'm not expecting you to mind read or do something or be something different. And you feel that. You're like, oh, okay, great. That also lets you off the hook from second guessing or trying to be something different or overdoing. I just take responsibility for me, for speaking my truth, for living my truth. So I'm proposing that setting boundaries, truly, yes, placing boundaries are good for relationships. But if it feels hard and sticky and you're always sort of fighting to put them there, this is an alternate way that you don't have to fight with boundaries. You don't have to keep putting them up or maintaining them. You just have to do you. And these boundaries actually are just your truths. So I'd like you to notice that and feel into it. I always love hearing from you. So if you have thoughts on this, if you have questions, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM or put it in the comments. If this really resonates for you and you're like, whoa, that's another thing, I invite you to share it. We all, every single one of us, it's our birthright to live true to ourselves. And setting boundaries, we can do it the hard way, or we can do it an easier way that just feels much better all around. All right. Love to hear from you. Share this if it feels like a fit for you. And I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.